Imagine your hot, fresh slice of pizza. I mean, just right out of the oven. In mere moments, you're going to embark on an absolutely epic, microscopic adventure. We're talking about a complete transformation from a simple, delicious meal into biology's absolute greatest masterpiece. In this explainer, we're diving deep into a highly coordinated biological symphony that involves dozens of organs, trillions of cells, and thousands of enzymes. So let's jump right in.
So, what actually happens in those first few seconds after that hot bite? Well, the exact second a child's teeth break your crust, your world plunges into total chaos. You see, you aren't just a bite of food anymore. You're the catalyst for an astonishing sequence of events that operate silently and continuously right beneath the surface of human awareness.
Welcome to the massive cavernous environment of the mouth. Here, mechanical and chemical breakdown begins instantly. There's no waiting around for the stomach. Right off the bat, massive mechanical structures, the teeth, crush and violently tear you apart. This drastically expands your surface area, and suddenly a flood of fluid just pours in. This saliva is packed with salivary amylase. Think of this enzyme like a chemical detonator, instantly attacking the starches in your crust. Now, between the relentless crushing of those teeth and that massive chemical flood of saliva, you've pretty much lost your identity as a slice of pizza. You've officially been transformed into a soft, wet, manageable sphere. In biology, we call this a bolus. At this point, you're perfectly prepped, shaped, and positioned for a sudden, thrilling drop. And here it goes. Step 1, pharynx entry. Step 2, the epiglottis folds. Step 3, the esophageal drop. This is the blink and you miss it swallowing reflex. As you're pushed to the back of the throat, you hit the pharynx, which is honestly a pretty dangerous crossroads where the digestive and respiratory systems meet. But human biology has a spectacular defense mechanism here. A tiny flap of tissue, the epiglottis, instantly folds over the windpipe exactly like a trapdoor. So in just a fraction of a second, you're safely diverted away from the lungs and drop directly into the esophagus.
All right, so now you're inside the esophagus, the muscular tube connecting the mouth to the stomach. Now, a lot of people just assume food falls down the throat thanks to gravity. Actually, that's not true at all. You're being pushed by peristalsis. These are powerful, rhythmic, completely gravity-defying muscular waves that literally squeeze you downward. It's a relentless, mechanical squeezing, and it is so incredibly efficient that even if this kid were eating floating around in the weightlessness of space, you would still be forced perfectly downward into the stomach.
Section 2. The acid lick, surviving the stomach.
So you've arrived at the stomach, which is a slow, dramatic, and honestly treacherous world. It is definitely not just a storage pouch. It's a violent, churning cauldron. Specialized cells are pumping out hydrochloric acid, creating this highly corrosive lake specifically designed to aggressively destroy any hitchhiking microorganisms. This intense acid also awakens pepsin, an enzyme that brutally attacks your protein-rich cheese and meat. Through all this relentless muscular churning, you're ground down into a thick, totally unrecognizable semi-liquid called chyme, before you're slowly released through a tight little gateway known as the pyloric sphincter.
Moving on to Section 3, the labyrinth of absorption. Enter the small intestine.
Transitioning out of the stomach, you enter the duodenum. This is the very first section of the small intestine, and wow, this place is like a vibrant, bustling factory world where a literal chemical onslaught is waiting for you. Let's look at the key digestive fluids. First, bile. Produced by the liver and stored in the gallbladder, it crashes into you, shattering your large fat droplets into tiny, emulsified ones. Then, pancreatic juice from the pancreas floods in, loaded with a massive arsenal of enzymes to digest carbs, proteins, and fats. Your complex carbohydrates become simple sugars. Your proteins are reduced to amino acids. You're literally being disassembled at the molecular level.
Millions. That is the breathtaking scale of the small intestine's architecture all around you. The inner wall is just covered in millions of these microscopic finger-like projections called villi. This is an absolute engineering masterpiece because it creates an enormous amount of surface area, all perfectly designed to absorb your newly freed nutrient molecules with stunning, life-sustaining efficiency.
Now, your molecules are forced down diverging, high-speed transit routes to actually leave the digestive tract. The glucose and amino acids cross the intestinal wall into tiny blood vessels, speeding straight through the hepatic portal vein directly to the liver. But your dietary fats, they take a totally different path. They get absorbed into specialized lymphatic vessels called lacteals. So they travel this sort of hidden highway through the lymphatic system before finally joining the general bloodstream to reach cells all across the body.
Next up, Section 4. The power plants, cellular respiration.
We've actually reached the epic climax of your journey. You see, you're no longer pizza anymore. You are millions of tiny nutrient molecules circulating in the blood. As your glucose reaches the brain, the heart, and the muscles, it enters microscopic cellular structures called mitochondria. And inside these incredible power plants, something basically magical happens. The glucose combines with oxygen in a tightly controlled chain reaction known as cellular respiration. This transforms your molecular ghost into pure, usable chemical energy, ATP, or adenosine triphosphate. This is literally the universal energy currency of life.
And this ATP is exactly what you, that single slice of pizza from earlier, have become. Just think about what ATP powers. You're literally fueling the muscle contractions that allow movement, the nerve signaling that forms complex thoughts, the synthesis of new proteins, the critical repair of damaged cells, and even the physical growth of the body. You are keeping this human alive.
And finally, Section 5, the final stretch, storage and waste.
Okay, let's calm the pacing down for just a moment. The reality is, the body probably doesn't need to burn all of your energy the exact second the meal is finished, right? Instead, it meticulously stores your excess. First, in step 1, your glucose is packed away as glycogen in the liver and skeletal muscles. Once those are full, step 2 kicks in, and your remaining energy is converted and stored as fat in adipose tissue, which ultimately acts as a vital, long-term energy reserve for the body in step 3.
But meanwhile, what happens to the parts of you that simply couldn't be digested, like dietary fibers? Well, they travel down into the large intestine. Water gets absorbed here for sure, but you also enter a thriving, almost alien ecosystem, the gut microbiome. Here, trillions of beneficial microbes go to work fermenting your indigestible fiber. This supports overall health and actually produces crucial nutrients like vitamin K and B vitamins, right before your final remnants are ultimately eliminated as waste. Stepping back and looking at the timeline, we can truly appreciate this sophisticated biological symphony. What started in mere seconds with chewing and swallowing unfolded over hours of precise digestion, chemical absorption, and ATP production, eventually culminating much later in nutrient storage and waste elimination. It's a process that spans dozens of organs and trillions of individual cells, all acting with a single-minded purpose.
Knowing that your body turns a simple crust into thought, movement, and heat, will you ever look at a slice of pizza the same way again? By the end of this incredible journey, your crust and cheese have become the very heat keeping this body warm, the energy contracting its muscles, and the literal thoughts firing in its brain. Every single meal triggers this breathtaking precision just beneath the surface. It's an absolute masterpiece of biology. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I seriously hope you never look at your next slice of pizza the exact same way again.